Listen to me, Blake Lively. Tap out. Tap out. Call Uncle right now. Please take my advice.
This just in. Blake Lively has suffered a huge defeat after a long fight against Justin Baldoni, and frankly, this case is now hanging by a thread. From here on, the high-stakes Hollywood lawsuit has turned into a total disaster for her. All of her lawyers' most powerful moves backfired, and Justin just kept stacking up wins in the courts. The worst part, he's not only winning legally, but also winning in the court of public opinion.
I said that having read through Blake Lively's complaints, that it was evident to me that she was likely under the influence when she filed her complaint. Not under the influence of drugs, not under the influence of alcohol, but of the influence of proximity to Taylor Swift. Maybe one Eras tour too many had been attended by her and Ryan.
The last hearing changed everything. If it continues like this, Blake might not just lose the case, she might lose it all. With each ruling, her case against Justin is falling apart, and more people are beginning to wonder if Blake's claims are even valid.
Leading up to the courtroom showdown, Blake and Ryan's attorney filed this letter saying they'll seek to dismiss Justin's $400 million defamation lawsuit.
It's routine. Why not take a bite at the apple, see if you can get either the entire complaint or parts of it dismissed? So I don't anticipate any dismissals at this point.
So what just happened? How did Justin's latest court victory push Blake even further into a hole? And what's that going to mean for her future career, reputation, and even marriage to Ryan Reynolds? Well, let's break it down. Blake probably thought that she'd gotten the upper hand when she first sued Justin for $250 million, accusing him of serious misconduct and damage to her reputation. But Justin didn't just deny the allegations, he launched a $400 million countersuit, charging her with an attempt to destroy his career. She was accused of lying, manipulating the media, and using false claims to gain control over the narrative.
Actor-director Justin Baldoni is now suing his former co-star Blake Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds, seeking more than $400 million in damages, accusing them of defamation and extortion. Baldoni directed and acted in the hit film It Ends With Us, which starred Lively as well.
Unfortunately for Blake, the court's siding with Justin at this point. At the most recent session, Blake's team of lawyers tried to prevent Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, from making any media statements about the case. They argue that the constant presence of the media makes it impossible for others to respond appropriately, but the judge quickly rejected their request because, as the judge rightfully pointed out, Blake and her lawyers have also been talking to the press. If she had the right to take her claims to the media first, then Justin had the right to defend himself just as much publicly. This was a huge hit for Blake. Not only was Justin allowed to continue speaking to the press, but he also announced the launch of a website containing legal documents, messages, and evidence proving his side of the story.
Justin Baldoni's team launched a new website over the weekend, featuring an amended legal complaint and a 168-page timeline of events, including newly released text messages allegedly sent between the embattled stars of It Ends With Us, as well as Lively's husband, actor Ryan Reynolds. One alleged text from Reynolds to Baldoni expresses his excitement about It Ends With Us, writing, "This is going to be incredible. I happen to adore you, Justin."
Blake's team was incredibly angry and claimed that this would create a wrongful influence on public opinion. But the judge found nothing wrong with it. It was a victory for Justin while Blake's team was put on the back foot. Well, now Blake's lawyers have made yet another failing attempt to do some damage control. They pushed that Blake should select who would interrogate her during her own sworn testimony. It wasn't a random plea. It was obviously to prevent her from being close to Friedman, Justin's lawyer, who is known for his no-holds-barred style in court.
Blake's lawyer says she may refuse to sit for deposition if Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, is at the helm.
Blake Lively has no power whatsoever to determine who's going to depose her. That's kind of a silly demand, and no judge is ever going to abide by that. She has to sit for the deposition.
Friedman has a reputation for mauling weak arguments, exposing contradictions, and forcing people to answer the hardest questions without any route of escape. Once Blake gets onto the stand, she won't have the benefit of PR statements or well-crafted replies. She'll have to respond straight out and record every word as formal testimony. If she flinches, dodges, or contradicts herself, which she has recently shown a habit of doing, it could be crushing to her case.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
The judge immediately shut down the request. There would be no special treatment for Blake. She might be the it girl in showbiz, but not in court. She would have to face Friedman and answer every question thrown at her. Now, this was a really hard blow to her because it means that she would not be able to avoid the most gruesome part of the legal process. It was a complete failure of her tactic to control the narrative.
This is Blake's just filed letter requesting a stronger protective order in her war against Justin Baldoni after receiving violent, profane, sexist, and threatening communications from trolls. If granted, it could ban certain private financial and health information in the case from becoming public.
When this whole thing started, everybody was on Blake's side. She had a reputation built over the years, and a lot of people were quick to believe her claims. But after some evidence rolled out, things have changed. The fans have started asking hard questions. If Blake's allegations are so true, then why is she running so hard to avoid giving evidence or to speak under oath? Why did she take the matter to the press instead of to litigation first? If Justin really did something wrong, how come he's winning every legal argument so far?
She's just used to being Hollywood's golden girl, and she had such thin skin that after having a couple negative things happen to her for a month, she had to blame him. She decided to blame him, and boy, did she open up a hornet's nest and learn, be careful what you wish for, because now you've got the fight you asked for, and you're not winning it.
His strategy has been calculated and aggressive. He's chosen not only to defend himself quietly, but to go all the way, making sure that the other side of the story is loud and clear. As Justin continues to register more and more victories at the court, it's going to be more and more difficult for Blake to hold on to her original story. Meanwhile, her haters continue to increase. There's only a few fans still standing with her, and many are starting to back away from her.
Blake, Ryan, I think I speak on behalf of all Americans for saying thank you. Thank you for giving us such a juicy, delicious distraction from all of the horrors that are going on.
The damage from this case will not just affect her reputation, but also her finances and even her marriage. If Blake loses Justin's $400 million countersuit, she's going to take a huge hit career-wise. The amount of money that he's suing for exceeds a lot of the net worth of her and Ryan Reynolds combined. If Justin wins, their legacy stands to be destroyed financially. Ryan Reynolds has remained very tight-lipped about the case, offering no public commentary, but somewhere backstage, this must be a huge tension for him. After all, he didn't try to play it down by that weird SNL joke that Blake might just not forgive him for.
Who else? Who else has a question?
I have a question.
Oh, hey, Ryan Reynolds.
Hi.
Hey. Ryan Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
The facts are really out there telling the story right now. Justin has won every move on the chessboard. The judge has refused to silence him, has ruled that his website of evidence gets to be up, has forced Blake through a grilling cross-examination, and has instructed that the two lawsuits be combined into one mega case instead of a long, drawn-out nightmare. These are just about the biggest wins out there in his favor.
And so I think if Blake Lively came to me and was like, what do you think I should do? I would probably say, one, you need to divorce your husband and let him take the fall for all of this. Say he was jealous, say he was controlling, say that it was an unhealthy, toxic relationship.
At this time, Blake's case feels like it's getting weaker and weaker. If she doesn't settle soon or find a way to turn this whole thing around, she might be looking at a loss that's career-ending. She started this fight, but now it looks like maybe Justin's gonna be the one to end it. As things now stand, unless the settlement is reached first, this case is scheduled for trial in March 2026. Justin's gone out of his way to say that he'll take this as far as necessary. He's been crushing her claims, winning court battles, and is in the process of owning the public narrative. Were this to go to trial, Blake could very well be standing before one of the most career-ending lawsuits in Hollywood history.